Formerly known as the performance division for Volvo, Polestar was spun into its own standalone brand in 2017. Polestar's first offering was the Polestar 1. That was a $150,000 limited edition plug-in electric, based on a Volvo S90. That vehicle really put the brand on the map, proving not only could they innovate in terms of powertrains, they could also produce one fine-looking car. Well, here we are 5 years later, and Polestar has flown us to Austin, Texas to check out their latest. This is a vehicle that could be just as pivotal. It is, of course, the Polestar 4. We're going to kick off this review with a quick, I'm not going to say 0 to 60, but I am going to punch it and see what this thing can do. It's going to roll up here. I'm going to go into settings here. We're going to set it for, where do I do a car? Okay, we got drive. I'm going to do nimble on the suspension. Let's do performance on the power delivery. Okay, this is all set. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, punch it. Good! Oh my God! I do expect that they are actually underestimating the 0 to 60 time with this car. This thing is nuts. Oh, what? Wow, so fast. And they don't even goof around with like sound effects or anything like that. It's just speed. Of course, a lot of electric cars are fast. That's no big deal. But this one can also handle. Because, of course, keep in mind, Polestar got its start as a touring car race team. They kind of know what they're doing. So you end up with a car that's not only fast, it can also handle. Like, even on bumpy, curvy roads like this, I am 100% confident in what the vehicle is doing, that is the mind-blowing combination right there. This is the all-new 2026 Polestar 4. It is the crossover that finally asks the question, do you really need a rear window? To Polestar, their cars are first and foremost performance-oriented vehicles, but they also want them to be really attractive, kind of like a sexy robot. Hey, he said it in the slides, I'm putting it in the video. The Polestar 4 starts at $56,400 US in a single motor configuration. That gets up to 310 miles of EPA range. The model we have here is a dual motor all-wheel drive with both Plus and Pilot packs. This starts at $62,900. It features 2 electric motors, one in the front and another in the back. This setup produces up to 544 horsepower and 506 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 is a claimed 3.7 seconds. It has an EPA-rated range of up to 280 miles. The battery is a 400-volt, 100 kilowatt-hour pack. This can DC fast charge from 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes, with a peak charge rate of 200 kilowatts. The charge port is CCS, and AC/CS adapters are available. Of course, under the hood here, we do have a front trunk. Oh, there we go, hood pistons. Enough for, I guess, some small groceries. This is also where we have the wiper fluid refill. If you want to change the cabin air filter, unfortunately for that, you're going to have to go into the glove box, and you need a screwdriver to do it. The first service interval is 2 years or 18,750 miles, whichever comes first. And every Polestar 4 comes standard with 3 years of roadside assistance. Price as it sits here with the optional V-spoke, 21-inch forged wheels wrapped in all-season tires, glass roof, body-matched lower moldings, and metallic paint, you're looking at $79,100 US, including destination. A few months ago, we did a review on the new Polestar 3. I thought it was a fantastic crossover, but with a couple eccentricities. So has Polestar done the same thing all over again? See, Polestar says they didn't remove the glass simply for aesthetics. They did it because it actually improves headroom on the inside of the vehicle without compromising the exterior design. That also pays dividends in the trunk area. Not by a lot, but maybe enough for most people. We've got a lot of room for stuff back here. We also have a power outlet with 180 watts on the side. In the back, it comes with a dual voltage charging cable, and it even has the NACS adapter. Not sure if you have to pay extra for that or if it comes with, but here we go. Nice. So is the second row worth losing the back window? Let's see. Oh, this is actually quite nice. Typically on a coupe styled SUV, my head kind of bumps right back here. No problem like that. Also, I have tons of leg room here. I am 6'1", legs torso proportionate. This is where I would be seated if I were driving. And I kind of like how Polestar here is saying it's 100% traced leather and animal welfare secured. So that's good to know. I mean, if you skin them for leather, have you really secured their welfare? Anyway, moving on. Down here, we have a digital control panel that lets us control everything. Not only can we do our own climate back here, we also have seat warmers, and we can adjust the angle of our back seat back here, which is cool. It's a little slow. It's my only, there we go. Fold this down, not only do we get, wait, that's locked. How do I fold that? Oh, I gotta pull that. Fold this down. Fold this down. There we go. Need more of a pull. Fold, now it's latched again. Okay, fold this down. And we not only get cup holders in the front, we also get more controls for our seat back. This is a little bit better. I prefer these buttons over the little digital controls down there. But overall, what we have back here is one of the most comfortable second rows. The fact that they put it in a coupe style vehicle is kind of amazing. To me, is it worth getting rid of the rear glass? Don't know yet. Ooh, yeah. Up front, we get a really, oh, hey, I guess I'm sliding forward. I guess this wasn't where I would be seated. I actually ended up with more room in the second row. That's pretty cool. Anyway, the interior here is luxury. Like, it is gorgeous. This one has the optional Napa leather. It's wrapped around the steering wheel. It feels amazing. The seats feel great. They're nicely sculpted, multi-piece, lots of power adjustments, and these even have massage. Heck yes, I'm going to be getting a massage while I'm talking to you. Don't mind me. Now, of course, this is a Swedish car company. Yes, they're owned by Geely, but they essentially are a Swedish car company. And because of that, you have this really clean Scandinavian design done right. The materials, the fabrics, now the lack of controls, and that was actually something that kind of bugged me with the Polestar 3, the fact that you had to dive into the menu, and it was not as forthright as I would have liked it to be. To control the steering wheel and the side mirrors. This one, they've at least made it a little bit easier. Where is it? Oh yeah, there it is. So I can fairly quickly make the adjustments. Personally, I still don't see the need to be quite this finicky about removing buttons and knobs, but at least they're making effort to make it a little easier. And to that point, they've even removed the physical controls for the vents. Yes, those are actually in the infotainment system as well. I think it's taking it too far. However, there is a lot of good stuff here. I like the fact that we actually get a small gauge cluster up here that gives us essential information, and it does tie into Apple CarPlay. Yes, this supports Apple CarPlay, Chevy. And when you have a CarPlay navigation set up, it will actually project the map also into your gauge cluster, which is a really cool little trick. That means that I can actually be running CarPlay maps on my gauge cluster while I'm doing whatever else is going on over here. It's a really nice setup. But we have to talk about the rear view mirror. I know this is a critical thing with this car. The fact that we don't have rear glass to look out of, how good is this camera? And I was expecting, honestly, to be wowed by it. I'm like, wow, they got rid of that. They're definitely gonna up the game of this rear view camera. But frankly, it looks just like the rear view digital mirror camera that's in my Land Cruiser. It doesn't look special. And I would like it to be able to go like extra wide or something, so you could see more of those 3/4 views through that C panel, which I cannot see through at all, but it doesn't. So I think that maybe I would get used to using the electronic aids, because of course this does have blind spot warning, but I don't know if I care that much about my second row passengers to give up the glass. And it's not necessarily seeing through the glass, it's situational awareness. You don't need to see all the details through the glass, but it's kind of nice to be able to see objects. So it'll be interesting going forward to see how this affects people in the real world. Are they going to have issues with the lack of rear glass? I don't know. Hard to say. Let's say, so moving on here, of course, this is an all electric, so we don't have a real transmission. I like the fact that we have the PRND right here on a simple controller off of the steering wheel. They didn't go for any like push button goofiness there. So moving on to the infotainment system, this is like it needs its own deep dive. There's a lot going on here. Though it is built on the Google OS, it is very customizable. You can adjust layouts, which is fantastic. You can also dive into just a number of apps. You can play YouTube videos while you're sitting and charging. You can pull up all of your vehicle settings. And of course, you can use voice prompts. How old is Britney Spears?
43 years old.
43.
By the way, if you want to listen to the news while you drive, just say, "Hey Google, play the news."
Okay, well, anyway, I got a little prompt there to listen to the news on Google. I didn't ask for that. The ambiance, so this sets the interior color scheme, and it's based on the planets. Let's go to Uranus. Whoa! Okay, that's kind of cool. So, like, if I want to set up my drive modes, there's no real drive mode per se, but there is, under drive, a lot of stuff I can set that is key. Suspension, because these are dynamic suspension. I can go firm, standard, or nimble. I can change my steering feel. I went with firm because that's what I want. And you can go range or high performance. And they also have one pedal drive. I personally don't love one pedal drive, but it's a thing. And then they even have hill descent control if you're going down a slippery slope. So yeah, overall, love this cabin. It's just a really nice place to be. We'll see if I can get used to that lack of a rear glass. There's also right here a spot to charge my phone. Beware, if you do go full throttle, that thing's gonna go flying. We have a singular volume knob there. Down here we have a couple cup holders which you can cover up. And then below that we have a small bin with 2 USB-C sockets. I mean, if you want an interior that seems sporty and luxury, I mean, they nailed it. But how does it drive? Well, let's stop talking and let's start driving. So if I say performance and handling, your mind should immediately go to, of course, the Porsche Taycan Turbo S. Am I saying this is as good as that? No. That car is faster, probably handles better, and it also costs way more money than this one does. Keep in mind, this is only a $70,000 car as equipped, and that's with the Napa leather seats, which are fantastic, by the way. When you start adding up all of the stuff in this, and especially if you then compare it to Porsche, you start to see the value proposition of this car. It's not a low-cost car, but it is a car that delivers quite a lot for what you're paying for. The Polestar 3 is actually built in North Carolina. This one, however, is going to be built in South Korea. Their approach is to basically put different models into different regions of the world. Now, I know all of you want to see me take this off-road, and I actually will test the off-road capabilities of this once we get it back to our Peninsula Proving Grounds later this year or early next year. We'll also do mileage and all that kind of stuff. But for right now, this is just a quick overview, first-time experience with this car, and I have to say, so far, I am very impressed. This thing, it's comfortable, it's fast. The tech actually kind of makes sense. I don't love with how much they rely on the touchscreen. I complained about that before. I'm going to keep complaining about that until buttons come back. But for right now, yeah, super impressed with this thing. Just a quick note about the cameras here. This one is very tight, but at least the rear view camera that I have here is wide. So if you use these two in conjunction, it will kind of give you the situational awareness that you need. But to me, 2D images are never going to be as good as seeing even a 3D image that you would normally get with a mirror. Because of course you still see in 3 dimensions with your eyes when you're looking at through a mirror. Once you put that on a camera, it just flattens everything out. It is adaptive suspension and you can adjust it in the display. Personally, I think nimble just right there. Don't need to adjust it beyond that. However, if you like a softer ride or you want something firmer, it's totally available. Likewise, steering, you can adjust it for light, standard, or firm. I think firm is the place to be. I like the feel. It has a nice heft. I can kind of feel what the wheels are doing, but it is all electronic, and it does feel a little electronic, but it feels good for an electronic. So I will say that. Anybody who wants to, like, you know, toss this car around through the mountains, I think you'll be totally comfortable with this. The performance. Yes, this thing has performance. And frankly, driving it for the last couple hours here while filming, my body is starting to get worn out from the performance. It is that quick, and it can be that abrupt if you drive it that way. However, I think a lot of people on day-to-day driving will just pop into range mode as opposed to performance mode. It dials things back and makes it a little calmer. To improve the range on this, Polestar says that the front wheels will actually declutch from the front drive motor, so that way they are free spinning. It basically makes it a rear wheel drive vehicle. Of course, the moment I actually add throttle, it will immediately reconnect it. Also, whenever you're coming from a complete stop, it'll also be in all-wheel drive mode. So it's a completely transparent experience from the driver's side. On the highway, it's really quiet in here. This is a luxury performance electric, and you feel it, not just in the materials, but also in the quietness of the cabin. And right now, I'm just going to drive it like you would probably drive it at home. I put it in range mode. I'm going to go to standard on the suspension, which is a little bit softer. Now, we can do one pedal drive here, and there's two different levels. Personally, I don't like one pedal drive. Also, it will allow me to turn on creep mode, which allows the vehicle to kind of creep forward like a standard transmission vehicle. Personally, I like that. You know, all the cars I personally drive day to day have that because they're just regular hybrids. So I want this vehicle to kind of behave the way that I expect, and I expect a little creeping motion. Fun fact about creeping motion, though, I don't think there's anybody here. If I stop and I really stab the brakes and I let off easily, there's no creeping. However, how is it like that? If I just tap the brake and off, then it actually creeps. So it kind of does it depending on your pedal input, which is good. If you're at a complete stop and your foot's getting tired, you can just take your foot off of it, relax a little bit, and then stab it again, and now you have creep mode. So that's kind of nice. This is still fast. Even in range mode, this thing will rip your face off. So we do have adaptive cruise control on this thing, and I want to see if I can figure it out. Is that the button? Oh, that is, okay. We hit the little vague circle button over here, and it'll basically gap us with the vehicle in front of us. It is your typical ADAS system, and it also has lane detection. They don't really have anything to compete with, you know, Ford Blue Cruise or Super Cruise or the Tesla system. It is really just a standard ADAS, and the reason for that is they're more about the driving experience. It's like a car that can drive itself is antithetical to their being. Like, they want to build cars that are fun to drive and are driver engaging. So literally, if you do a car that can drive itself, what's the point, right? This one is about the driving experience. And even just sitting here, it is a comfortable experience. I can pop over here, turn on my massage seats. I'm cradled in luxurious leather. I have great visibility. The steering wheel feels fantastic. I have all the information that I need up here in the digital gauge cluster. And I'm golden. Like, this is a fantastic place to be. I could easily drive across the US on this. And though I can't play any music here for copyright purposes, the Harman Kardon stereo in this is fantastic. You punch it up and it is great. You have nice separation of the tones. They have kind of like a surround sound kind of experience you can turn on, better for some type of music than others. But it's just a really, they just make this such a good place to be. I have absolutely zero complaints about this car as a commuter. In fact, it would be a superb commuter car, especially because, hey, yeah, you don't have to buy gas. All of that considered, I don't really think, honestly, that the reason to buy an electric is the whole save the planet movement. I don't. I think that these are just really good cars. They're fast. This one handles really well. And it's a joy to drive. It's quiet. It's clean. You know what maintenance is on this thing? Yeah, every 2 years or 18,750 miles. That's the first checkup that you need to do with it, which is kind of insane. So obviously there are huge benefits to driving electric beyond, what political side you're on. That is irrelevant, frankly. It is just a good driving experience if you have a car that provides a good driving experience. Electric, gas, whatever. This one is a good one. So overall, I think you can tell I do like this car a lot. But I'm going to end on the one thing that I started with, the lack of rear glass. And I honestly, even driving this, for a better part of a day, I still am not on board. I would rather have a hidey hole that I can look through as opposed to going cameras only. Now, it is a mostly good solution that they provide here, but I don't think it's quite there yet. I feel a little uncomfortable. Also, the situational awareness is turned down when you're dealing with electric screens. Also, I personally don't like running a digital screen inside the cab here, and the reason is because my eye focus is far, my eye focus is near, my eye focus is far, my eye focus is near. It's more strain on my eyes, especially at night. And so I don't want to have to be 100% reliant on this. And with this setup, you are. Now, is that enough to turn me off from this car? No, it's not. I still really like this car. Now, we will deal with more the charging, the daily livability of it, range, more performance envelope stuff when we get this back to the Pacific Northwest later in the year. But for right now, yeah, this thing's awesome. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along on this first ride with the new Polestar 4. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. We make them for you. I hope you enjoy them. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.